Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we have a new video and I finally returned after it's been I think 2 weeks, which is awful, but you guys know I already warned you this will happen from time to time because I have a lot of things that I'm doing, kind of routinely, so sometimes it just gets too crazy. And I had a skeleton crew video that I was going to put out, and I kept trying to upload it, and it just, for a while, it wouldn't upload, and then I tried again, and then there's just other things going on, and it was a mess. But today I'm going to cover that, and I'm going to cover this Ray disaster that's been apparently all over the place, this new trilogy we're getting from Simon Kinberg, and Andor Season 2. One, two, three, four. Yeah, these four things, which I should probably write down somewhere so I don't forget, but I won't. Yeah, so basically, Skeleton Crew, we had that trailer come out a couple weeks ago. It was a complete joke, as you guys saw from my community post. It was ridiculous. Like, they use Major Tom in the trailer. I don't care it's in Huttese. It's still Major Tom, and I know it's Major Tom. That was absolutely abhorrently stupid. And it's such a joke, because Star Wars should, again, always take you out of this world and transport you to another. That absolutely did not. I was like, oh, in fact, that took me out of Star Wars and pushed me more into this world than it did the opposite way, So I hated that. And then as for footage, it was all the exact same footage we got from the teaser, just extended. I despise how everything looks super shiny, looks super clean, and just looks way too similar to Earth yet again, which is a problem. It should never look like Earth, and that's something George adamantly strived to show with Star Wars, is that this is not like other sci-fi franchises where the United States and Europe and all these Russia and all these people are involved. It's like, no, this is in another universe, another galaxy, where Earth doesn't exist. None of earthly things don't exist. It's like a totally different thing. And it does that very well in his movies and in his projects. But this is just completely against all of his entire vision. It's completely against it. And then we've gotten a couple more pieces of footage. Still, it just really, it's like, okay, so, like, they're too scared to ever have, it's just so, it's weird. It's so confusing because they're obsessed with not having Jedi and not having the Force in projects. And even though Jude Law is a Jedi in this show, the kids and the crew are definitely the focal point, and I feel like the Jedi thing is going to be very much a side note, and it's like barely going to be explored, and everything will be about these kids. I already know that that's going to happen because it would make things too serious if, oh dear Lord, we focus on a character who, has some sort of relevance to Star Wars fans instead of random children. I don't really care about any of these characters. I don't really care about Jude Law, but if it were, would I rather follow a Jedi or would I rather follow a group of kids? I'd rather follow a Jedi, That's much more interesting. If a Jedi was the main character of this series and we didn't have the stupid suburban Los Angeles looking planet, then I'd say, you know what? Sure, I'll be fair with this. But I don't really feel like being fair with this from what I've seen. There's nothing in this series that makes me want to go, oh yeah, I should be fair. I'll be nice. No. Yeah, so I'm going to be watching this already with criticisms, which is insane. I should not already have criticisms, before even seeing an episode, but I do. And I am scared to see how they're going to screw up Star Wars with this one. I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't know what else they could possibly do to ruin it, but they will find a way. They always do. They always find some way to destroy it and to smother it into oblivion, and that's what's going to happen with this stupid show. Yeah, I'm concerned, to say the least. I'm very concerned for this show. I don't see a possibility of it being, a spectacular series in any regard. But yeah, I'm just really not interested, and I really do not care. Like, this is just one of those things that I feel like they've just pumped out to have something, in this period of time, when it's really okay not to release something, if you need more time on future projects. Like, just don't. That's what George did. He just would wait 3 years, and he wouldn't make any new movies or obviously shows or anything in between the movies, because he really wanted to put everything into those movies, and obviously let the EU people do their thing, which they did great at. But that's how he did it, and it worked every single time, and he made a masterpiece every single time. So instead of doing that, we're going to pump things out constantly, give them no time, have no idea how the Force works, have no idea on really George's vision for Star Wars, and just pump out these products that they're not even... There's no soul anymore to what they're producing. It's all feels like it comes from a factory, and it's just pumped out to make money, and this show is not going to make money. For example, if you look at The Penguin was a series on kind of a side villain from the Batman, barely had, really any screen time. It would be practically like making if Empire came out and they made a show on, like, Boba Fett, except Penguin was in it more than Boba's in Empire, but, it's similar kind of thing, like a very side villain in that movie, I loved Penguin in the Batman, so, I actually thought from seeing the movie it'd be interesting to explore more of his story, and it happened, luckily. But a lot of people are like, why would you do a story on this guy? Like, he's just a random side villain, who cares? They make the show, and it is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. And it is, I think, one of the best written pieces to fit into a universe in, like, years, 10 years, maybe more. It does the job so perfectly well, and this is exactly what Star Wars needs to do. So what The Penguin did was, it looked very similar to the Batman, if not, it looked very similar. Not exactly the same, but very similar, and it had its own, like, sprinkle of, itself on there, of its identity on top. But it was a sprinkle. They weren't like, let's smush the original material and do something completely different. No, they were like, all right, let's stay close to this, but we can add our own sprinkle of authenticity on top. Great. It did that. It looked very, very similar to the Batman, like, very similar. So looks-wise, it looked like we were still watching the movie, like the movie never ended. And that's great. It felt like a direct continuation of the Batman, like, direct. And the way it was written, the way it was paced out, was all, again, super similar to the Batman. The music, almost exactly the same, and it's composed by two different people. Michael Giacchino and Mick Giacchino, which Mick Giacchino's son. And Mick Giacchino's actually also composing for Skeleton Crew. So at least we'll know we'll have good music. But other than that, let me go back to this Penguin thing. So yeah, it sounded the same. It looked the same, but it was written the same, but it had this sprinkle of authenticity on it that would make me know, like, if they put a shot of Penguin and a shot of the Batman, I'd be able to tell the difference, but they still look similar, and they still feel similar. And it did that perfectly. And we're not following Batman. We're not following Catwoman. We're not following Riddler. We're not following James Gordon. We're not following any of the main characters at all. This is just a side character who's living in that universe. And I still felt like I was watching the Batman. This is exactly how Star Wars should be doing it. The exact same thing. It should look like George's movies. It should be written like George's movies. It should sound like George's movies. But it should have a sprinkle of authenticity to, give it, I guess, a personality and a soul. That the way that the Penguin did that was so flawless. It made me so happy. And how they brought in other side characters which could be involved in the story. And they brought them in to remind you, hey, this is still within the same universe as the Batman. And that reminded me of, oh wait, Andor season 1 probably should have done this too, where it's still reminding us, oh yeah, by the way, you're still watching Star Wars, where, they bring in like some very side characters, like the chief of police, and Bella Real is in there who's the mayor of Gotham, is in there for like 5-6 seconds. Just like these very small roles. And then, what's his name? Kenzie, and I think a couple other people, Carmine Falcone. Like, you get all these people who are in the Batman in this, and it connects them. And it shows you where kind of Gotham is. And then through the police, it shows you where the GCPD is at this time and how they're kind of trying to mop things up after the Great Flood of Gotham. And it's this beautiful thing. And then at the end, you're like, great, but Batman really has not been mentioned once in the whole show. He wasn't. Neither was Selina Kyle. And the next project we're getting is the Batman Part 2. So the next big, huge project of this universe. We need to bridge that gap. We need to set up the next movie. They don't do that the whole time. This isn't it's this thing in between the Batman and the Batman Part 2. No, it's the Penguin. But we'll leave some little pieces at the end, some little crumbs to connect it to the Batman Part 2, since we connected it to the Batman 1. Right? So what do they do at the end? Sophia Falcone gets a letter from Selina Kyle, who's Catwoman. And we don't know what it says. They leave it ambiguous. She's happy to read it. Probably has something to do with her completely wiping out the Falcone crime family. And then at the end, the Penguin, he's the kingpin of Gotham. So there's very little... I wouldn't even... So basically my point is if this were Disney, Sophia Falcone would have been, leader of Gotham, even though she just got into it, barely has any experience, whatever, because, that's how Disney writes things. But Warner Brothers and HBO have good writers, and they understand what to do. So they have these strong female leads, and they have all this diversity, but they don't ever let it pick away from the story. Never, not once. And that is, again, another thing that Star Wars should be doing, and I know they can. Like, this whole show is what Star Wars Lucasfilm should be looking at to think of how they should be making their shows and how it works. Hence, The Penguin was #1 show on the charts for its entire run, from episode 1 to episode 8. That is impressive. That is very, very impressive. That does not happen. All of Disney's shows, even the Star Wars Disney shows, nowhere close. They're like #4, #5. Very rarely number 3. Probably the only one to hit number 1 was Mando. But like they're never that high because they're not good, But Penguin was perfect, so it's number 1 for 8 weeks. And this is DC. This is the Batman. This isn't Star Wars. Star Wars has 100 times more influence on people than any of these superhero brands. Okay, so if you could make Star Wars that, it would be that times 1,000. And this is what I'm saying. Like all of this is so possible, and it's annoying. And then, yeah, just to wrap up what I was saying about them, setting up the next thing, they had to acknowledge Batman's presence at some point because the universe is literally called the Batman Epic Crime Saga. And if you have a thing with zero mention of the Batman, that's kind of weird. So what do? Bat signal, cut. Perfect. Gets the point across, not fan servicey. It does exactly what it's needed to do. By one effect. I was like, they did this pan where all of a sudden we start seeing Gotham from Batman's lens again. It's up on the rooftops, through high buildings. We're not down in the muck anymore. And they'd have these shots of roofs and these shots of like looking down. I'm like, all right, dude, we're going to see Batman or something. Maybe they lied to us. It's like, what's happening? And everything's wrapped up. We're panning out for the final establishing shot. And it's just like, bat signal. And it just cuts. I was like, that. And I was like screaming. I have not had a reaction like that to any movie, show, whatever. Probably since God knows when. I don't even know. I don't remember. Maybe it was, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a similar like comparison to that moment in Star Wars. When Moff Gideon cut the hole in the TIE fighter and like kicked it open and he had the Darksaber? It's like that. It was like an audience cheer, like get crazy moment, and then, but more since it's Batman, like the main character, obviously. But that would be kind of I guess, yeah, Mando kind of did that in a similar way, where they like left this little piece cliffhanger and it wasn't fan servicey and it got the point across. Yeah. That show, man, is exactly what Star Wars needs to look at. And they need to look at that show and say, oh, how did they adapt it into their universe? Well, they stuck to the main themes of the universe. They progressed the story. They didn't regress the story. They didn't add a bunch of junk into the story. Everything that was added was to progress the story. They didn't leave all these ambiguous side characters with every single project. They only kept the ones that were essential to the story moving forward. This is what Star Wars should do. Guys, all Star Wars is, it's George's vision. That's it. It's telling consistent character arcs, having a simple understanding of the Force. It's about family, redemption, and delight. That's Star Wars. And then obviously then there's the filmmaking things, like don't sit on something for 1,000,000 hours, and kind of the different shots you'd use in Star Wars, and then the music, obviously. That's it. Like, you think it's the super big complex thing. It's like, no. The most complex thing out of that, I'd say, is kind of just understanding how the Force works. That's the hardest thing to do. Everything else is already laid out for you. You have 1,000,000 documentaries, 1,000,000 pieces from George. Who knows? They probably have 100 times more than we have, because they are Lucasfilm Limited. Hell, they can call George and be like, help. Like, they have everything at their hands. And seeing another studio in another universe have everything at their fingertips and they use it, they use everything at their fingertips to create something amazing, proves and shows that Star Wars needs to do the same thing in order to be successful. That's just something to think about. But I love The Batman. It's my favorite movie behind Star Wars. It always switches between The Batman and The Dark Knight. Right now it's The Batman. And I adore that universe. I love Batman. His version of his character in that movie is one of my favorite characters ever. Like right up there with Anakin, with Darth Vader, with Luke, all those people. Even though he's newer, it doesn't matter. It's just beautiful, amazing writing, and I'm really able to connect with him in a lot of ways. So, yeah, it's great. And the things I'm already hearing about Batman Part 2 it sounds so good. It sounds complex, interesting, and that's something with the Batman, it doesn't feel like it gets pumped out of a factory. It feels like it has a soul, an authenticity, a look, a feel, and it really sets it apart from other things coming out of Warner Bros. And other things coming out of, I guess, all of Hollywood right now. Like, the Batman really, really stands out. And it's made a huge pop culture impact as well. So I love the Batman. I love that universe. But I definitely wanted to speak on that because that's a big thing that Lucasfilm should look at. Not, let's make our next project exactly like the Penguin, but let's see how the Penguin did it, what they did to get their show to fit in with their universe, and look at their strategy, and let's take that strategy and copy it. And you know what that strategy is, ladies and gentlemen? Common sense. That's it. I'm not asking for a lot. It's, this doesn't make any sense. Why would we have this one episode be on this one planet for 50 minutes straight? That's really lame. That's really boring. That doesn't fit in Star Wars. Let's pick up the pace. What do? Go into the script, change it, done. And I know you have to reorganize and whatever, but do it anyways because that will make your product better. Or guys, let's have Luke turn his saber on over his nephew who had bad dreams. Meanwhile, he also almost died saving his father, who was the most evil man in the entire Epping galaxy. So, this really is consistent and this makes sense. But it was an accident. That's the point. We're gonna divert expectations for shock value. Yeah. Go Team Ryan. Like, shut the F up. You guys, these people have no idea what the hell they're doing, man. Like, really, it's so funny. It's like so funny how all of this is common sense. It's all common sense. It's common understanding, and it's just looking at the source material, which is the first 6 films, which Kathleen Kennedy, by the way, thinks there's no source material, which I find to be hilarious, because Star Wars was based on like 100 pieces of old movies and literature and ancient culture and religion, so like, what do you mean there's no source material, you idiot? And if you're saying there's no source material for your movies, that's not true. You have 6 freaking films in front of you, like Clone Wars. You have the whole EU. Like, she should have been fired right there. There's no source material. Yeah, you should write an online apology. Like, no wonder why this woman doesn't have social media, because if she did, she would be destroyed. This is what I'm talking about. Like, her husband, I met Frank Marshall. I love that guy. He's awesome. And he produced Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park and E.T. And, he's worked with George and he's worked with Steven and all these people. He's great, but she is a nut job. I don't know what her problem is, because she also has worked with George in the past and worked with all these people, and that's why he hired her, is because she was really good at her job, so I don't even know, man. I really don't know why I have to keep repeating myself. But this time it's been less repetitive because I'm sharing newer thoughts that I've had, but still, Like, just get a grip. They won't get a grip. Like, this is what I'm saying. They do not care. And this is why I'm trying to prove my point of, I think they are actively going against Star Wars and George's vision because it's too religiously active and it's not woke enough. I believe that is why they're doing the things they're doing. And it's lining up. It's making sense. They're taking any, mentally their character that George made that completed their arc and was this big hero, taking them, ripping them down to being, they made Luke like a freaking hermit boy, an isolated incel hermit. They turn Han into freaking, oh yeah, let me leave my entire family now, destroy the entire arc of my love from episodes 4 through 6, and then they have Leia just be the most grumpy, obnoxious person who's only on screen for like fucking 5 seconds every movie. What? And then, oh yeah, let's have her all of a sudden know how to use the Force to float through space, which she's never been a full Jedi. Hello? Like, what? Man, oh man. Disney. They're special, dude. They're very special people. They need their meds, they need some help. They need new writers. They need Bob Iger needs to be kicked out and fired. Kathy needs to be fired. Their DEI program needs to be shut down. Yeah. And no, I'd say wipe out the entire board. Like, just fire all of them. Because they're all pieces to the problem, Like, the fact Josh D'Amaro approved the transition from Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure Disneyland. Ridiculous. So he clearly has some problems too. So they should just fire him. Why take the risk, Pour a bunch of new people in who actually know what they're doing, actually care about the brands that they're on, and things will slowly change from there, But I am not sure when that's going to happen, and George always said to remain hopeful and remain, just know that anyone can change. So I do believe they can change. It's just a matter of when, and it's a matter of, what has to happen in order for them to change. How big of a box office bomb will they need across the board to realize there's something wrong? They've had some bombs. Like, The Acolyte, I feel like shook things up, not in a great way for Lucasfilm, clearly by the stuff that's being released, but it gave them some awareness of what they're doing. It opened like this little peephole for them to be like, oh, that was really bad. Now they're doing something else, which will transition to our next topic, which is Rey and this new trilogy. They'll make that. It'll be horrible. And they'll go, oh, we can't do that either. Then they'll freak out. Because they recently stated, hear this, Rey is Disney's most, I can't even say it. It's just, it's insane. Rey is their most valuable asset. Rey is their most valuable asset. I'll say it again. Rey is their most valuable asset. How? Could you say Rey is your most valuable asset when you have access to Darth Vader, to Obi-Wan Kenobi, to Anakin Skywalker. How? I just don't understand. Hell, to Indiana Jones. Rey? Rey is your most valuable asset? Really? Really? Where are they? Freaking La La Land? If I was smoking fucking 400 milligrams of pot and I'm dying, I'm having a heart attack, I wouldn't even think that. How much of a buffoon, idiot, fool do you have to be to think that putting Rey as the main everything and having 4 freaking projects focus on Rey, who fans despise, heavily despise, like, where are they? Like, do they even know what's happening, like, with us? I don't think they do. Even their shills have a hard time accepting that Rey's a good character. And they're shills. This is what I'm talking... Dude, Star Wars Replicas, who's the biggest freaking shill ever. Actually, not the biggest shill ever. He's a major shill. I wouldn't say biggest shill ever. Biggest shill ever goes to Molly and Alex Damon. And Carly King. And Kyle Katarn. They're the 3, I guess 4 shills, main shills. But this guy's a shill. And he publicly posted that The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie. So, you know what? Just saying. He did a film ranking and it was the lowest one. And he did like a yikes face. See? It's like they can't hide it too well when it's blatantly obvious. You know, like anyone who likes that movie is not a George Lucas Star Wars fan. I'm sorry. It's just not true. I hate to be that guy to, you know, call you a tourist or a fake fan, you know, but I'm going to, because the facts are there. There's 100 videos out on why that movie absolutely destroys everything George created, and absolutely decimates the character of Luke Skywalker. So you have no argument anymore to say it's Star Wars and to say it follows George's vision. You don't, you know, so just funny. Even shills can't accept it. I don't even know. I haven't heard one shill on the internet talk about this Rey thing. Not one. Now, I don't know if it's, you know, them only reposting the official Star Wars page because the official Star Wars page owns them, you know, or if it's they do not care. Which it very well could mean they do not care and they are concerned. Just saying, you know, just something interesting to think about. Yeah, so this is going to be a huge disaster. And at first, when I heard there's a new Star Wars trilogy, it's going to be 10, 11, 12. I'm so excited. I'm like, we can finally move on past the sequels and have something else there, you know, using new characters and kind of like an episode 1, but later, you know. I was like, all right, this will be cool. And then they're like, no, but Rey is like the Obi-Wan in this trilogy, and all the sequel characters will be there. And I'm like, cool. So I regret everything I said, which I didn't say, and I'm glad I didn't say, because I knew there was something fishy. I was like, I don't think that they're actually going to do like a brand new era thing. They just don't have the creativity. And the one time they did it, which is High Republic, it was dog shit. So, yeah, I was like, well, am I shocked? No. Am I really fucking disappointed? Yeah. So, I don't know, you know, and this is another one of their fucking, I think 14 projects, 14 movies or something insane that are just sitting there in the murk, you know, and they're not officially announced. So who knows if this will even happen, you know? Just like the Rey movie, which still doesn't have, you know, a new writer. Stephen Knight left. And actually, they might have got one, but they still haven't publicly announced it. But I think the problem with that movie is that they're not finding someone woke enough to write it. Because you have Charmin Obaid Chinoy as director, and she's the most psychotic woke woman in probably she's close to Leslie Headland. She hates men probably just as much as Leslie Headland, which she publicly said absolutely wrecked her on Instagram, with a thing when that came out, how she wants to make men angry with her Star Wars product. Yeah, absolutely fucking train wrecked that. Yeah, I don't know what psycho goes says, oh, I want to make men angry. And I get it's an old interview. And I get you're like, well, that's not relevant. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because if that's how she's thinking and that's how she feels, that's what it's going to show. You know, and I really strongly believe that it's Kathleen and Charmine. Something with the een. The eens, man. Like, I don't know. I guess that's like a curse in Star Wars. The eens. But yeah, Kathleen and Charmine are I'm guarantee you firing all these people because they're not making it woke enough, and they're not letting Rey get everything she wants in half a second like they did in the sequels. So man, this is gonna be horrible. Like the Rey movie, that's gonna be bad, and this trilogy is gonna be bad. She has not, in order to be a master, a mentor, a teacher, you actually have to have gone through the trials, you know, and gone through difficult times and overgrown them and like really learned through your mistakes and your failures and grown from them and, you know, put everything into whatever you're teaching or mentoring, whatever. You know, to really call yourself an Obi-Wan, a mentor, a teacher, etc. She hasn't. She doesn't know anything about the Jedi. She just gets all the freaking Force powers without even, like, having to work for them. You know? It's like she doesn't ever lose. The biggest tragedy in her whole life is when she finds out she's a Palpatine, which she then recovers from in half a second. So it's like, all right, okay, I don't know. I don't know, man. I cannot. This was one thing that I could not fathom. I was like, four Rey movies, four. Like I just couldn't. I can't handle this. Like it's. This was something I was like, oh, they'll never go back to Rey or the sequels. I was like, they won't do that. They won't do that. You know, I was like, that. This was one thing where I was like, I think they understand that we just don't want anything to do with it. Here we are, stupid me for thinking they had a brain. You know, my bad. God, dude, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. It's really sad because Disney's effed every single brand they have, I think, except the parks. The parks haven't been fully effed yet. There have been little things, but they have not been effed, and I still enjoy going to them. Their merchandise is pretty good. I don't have a lot of issues there, but their publishing's been effed. Their comics have been effed. Games just got completely fucked with Outlaws and pretty just fucked in general from the start. Yeah, I liked Battlefront 1 and 2, Fallen Order and Survivor. But they canceled a lot of games that would have been really amazing, and that gives that an image. And they should have been making more games. They shouldn't have canceled Battlefront 2 online. They've screwed their gaming. And I'm scared because Stigam Yusin left the crew for Jedi 3. So who knows what the hell they're doing there. I'm very scared for that. And I loved the first two, so I'd be very disappointed if they ruin it, which they might. It's Disney. Yeah, they've ruined Marvel. They really have. They've ruined everything. They've ruined Disney. They've ruined Pixar. Um, yeah, they're they've just ruined everything. They really have. They've destroyed all of their brands. They've brought the value of all their brands down. Um, they hide numbers, so they're liars. They hide numbers. They hide statistics because they're embarrassed and they don't want it to get out because they're the laughing stock of all the big entertainment studios at this point, you know. Um, yeah, and this move with Ray, I mean, as a student filmmaker, you know, who has really looked into producing and everything, this is just such a stupid move. Financially, statistically, it's a horrible move. It's so horrible. You know, it like really is just not smart. As an executive producer, I'd never be like, yeah, let's greenlight this. Hey, Jenny, do you think we should greenlight this? No. I'd be like, oh, get out. Get out of the pitch room, please. Get out. That's what I'd do. Never in a million years would I have some idiot walk up to me, say they want to do a Ray Solo movie or a Ray trilogy, and have me go, yeah, never. You know who else should be fired from my Disney firing list? The whole Lucasfilm story group. Pablo Hidalgo, the woke Justina Ireland. They're all woke. So actually, all the woke Lucasfilm story group who only cares about diversity, they should all be booted as well. Yeah, so basically, in order for Disney to change, they would have to drop an atomic bomb of fire of fucking firing on the entire company and its subsidiaries. And that's insane. Like, they literally have to rehire their whole fucking people, all their people. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, if you think about all the subsidiaries, you know, the parks and the fucking, I'm sure they've made, what the fuck is it called? ABC? Not ABC. I think they own ABC also. ABC, no, NBC's Universal. They're ABC. Some news net. I think it's ABC that Disney owns. Whatever news network Disney owns, I'm sure that they've made that super bias, as are all news networks, but I'm sure Disney's made that specifically. Yeah, this is crazy, man. This is like, they have made wrong move after wrong move after wrong move, and they are not doing the research. They are not slowing down to do the research to see why they're making wrong moves. You know, they're just continuing to go. They're not stopping. And it's like, they need to stop. They need to see, why didn't people watch The Acolyte? Why didn't people love The Last Jedi? Why didn't people love The Rise of Skywalker? Maybe we should go back to Solo and see why it bombed. Ooh, because The Last Jedi was released a few months before it. That's why it bombed. Not because of Han Solo, and not because they didn't use deep fake. Okay? There you go. So, yeah, this is a joke. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I needed to talk about. Yeah, I mean, this is just not smart. And all they care about is money, and it's like the most greedy shit ever. You know, it's like there is no movie studio that is as greedy as Disney. Like, they've been greedy from the beginning since I was a kid, you know, before they were completely fucked up. You know, their theme park tickets have always been abhorrently expensive. Their passes have always been abhorrently expensive. You know, their merchandise has been abhorrently expensive and overpriced. Like, they're just so greedy, because that's what Bob Iger is. All he's done is raise prices, raise all these things, you know, and destroy brands. Like, he's just been a monster. Like, a complete fucking monster to Disney. You know, and am I happy that he made Galaxy's Edge happen? Sure, but the cons way heavily outweigh the pros. He's fucking destroyed so much, you know? And he's so greedy and so fucking nasty, you know, and who knows what kind of shady shit he's involved with, you know, fuck Bob Iger at this point. Yeah, fucking ridiculous. All these people and their bullshit. It's all ridiculous. Ray Trilogy, Skeleton Crew. Oh, Andor. So on the bright side of all this shit, Andor Season 2 looks fucking great. From the things I've seen, the things I've read, I saw images of Krennic. That's going to be great. Andor Season 2, it really looks like it's going to be great. It's going to be much better than the first season. I think it's going to perform better than the first season did. It's going to be paced better. So that's one thing I actually am looking forward to, is Andor Season 2. Yeah, so I hope that doesn't get fucked, but it's Disney, and they made Luke Skywalker get fucked, so they can make anything get fucked. And they made the Obi-Wan Kenobi show with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen get fucked. They can make anything get fucked. Yeah, I am scared. I'm very scared. I'm very scared to see what's going to freaking happen here. I hope things change, and they can. You just have to take the steps. But again, Disney is like that one fucking high school sports kid whose IQ hasn't aged past, you know, elementary school. So it'll take them a while, if ever, to pull their shit together. And they already have a horrible reputation with the world, with politics, with the economy. You know, Disney's so fucking unstable with their stock. It's like crazy. There are times where it's super high. There are times where it's super low. Then it goes back up to super high, then super low. Like, they're the most fucking roller coaster company ever. Like, they're never just doing well. It's always something, you know? It's like one way or the other. It's a joke. They're not good. They're not doing well, man, at all, you know, with the general public, with their viewers, with their fans, you know. It's like they're not doing well. And I try to support the parks because I want to show you're doing a decent job here, you know, and I try not to support these other things, you know, and obviously that's probably illogical because they probably just put all their money into a big fund and use it wherever. But, you know, even their parks apparently they're not doing very well. So it's like, they're not doing bad, you know, they're doing good, they're profiting, but not even close to how they used to, you know, because their prices, that's one thing. The parks are getting fucked by the prices. Like, it is just becoming so freaking expensive to go to Disneyland for one day. Like, you're going to end up probably having to pay like $150 to go to Disneyland for one day. Like, do you know, that's insane. Like, that's kind of become the average. The $100 tickets are like very, very limited, and I'm lucky because I live around here, so I can wait for those days, you know, or wait for the 126 days. But for these people who come like internationally and from out of state, it's like fucking, they're coming during peak season, and peak season tickets are $280. for a single day at one park. That's too much. And one of Disney's keys is, being fucking inclusive financially so that anyone can enjoy their parks. That was one of their keys. They did this thing back in 2021 when Disneyland reopened. They have these keys. That was one of them. And it is fucking not true. And the fact that they can publicly come out and lie and say, oh yeah, this is fine. Go fuck yourself, dude. Like, seriously. I go to Universal Studios. I went to City Walk. The environment is so different, man. Like, it's a vibe. It's fucking, like, it's chill. The people there are clearly from all sorts of backgrounds. The people there are fucking healthy. Take that into consideration. People just look like they're having a good time. There's no obnoxious freaking locals. It's just such a different feeling. And the staff members at Universal seem like they're different. I would say Disney forces their employees to be friendly, but with Universal, I very much feel I'm getting a huge variety of kinds of people, if that makes sense. But I can tell that they all should be there. It's not like Disney's DEI, which they have DEI charts where, they have this many percentage of women, this many percentage of people in color, and therefore they're eliminating all these people with potential because of their psychosis issues. So, I don't know. It's just Universal's such a different feel than Disneyland, and Disneyland still has the magical feel, and it still has the, coziness. Hence, I met Downtown Disney a ton. But there's just this difference in, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just because I walk in there and I don't hate the company. I walk in there, I'm like, I don't feel guilty buying stuff. I don't feel guilty, enjoying it. I don't look at anything and go, oh God, that, it's like I'm just there and I'm enjoying it to the fullest, and with Disney now, it's like they're shoving who knows what else, their new stupid movie in my face that I don't care about. They're trying to charge me freaking $300 for a Legacy Saber set when you can just buy the hilt for like more than half off, if you just buy the hilt. It's like these fucking people, dude. And all the Disney staff members there, you can tell they have no fucking idea on what they're selling, what store they're in, what land they're in. They have no clue. There's some stupid old hag working at Trading Post who, I guess, had purple hair. What was she saying about she points to Qui-Gon's hilt. This is Stellan Gios' hilt from the High Republic. And you know what I do? I walk up to the customers, I say, no. And she looks at me like she got kind of mad, and I say, no. This is Qui-Gon Jinn's hilt from the clone, what did I say? It was from the, I forgot what I called it. I used a very specific name. I think I just called it like the Republic era. I said from, I used, what name did I use? I forgot what name I used. It's stupid I'm forgetting this, but, I was basically like, yeah, this is Qui-Gon Jinn's hilt from the Republic era, so like around the time of the prequel trilogy. And this one more specifically, Star Wars Episode 1, Tales of the Jedi. Like, oh, okay, thank you. And she scowls at me. She scowled at me. I'm like, well, do your job. Do your job. I'm doing your job better than you. It's like, this is insane. Like, really? I don't know how to feel anymore about these, because the cast members, they used to be the most genuinely kind, meaningful people ever until this DEI stuff got implemented, and then everything changed. Like, they're not anymore. Now, like, half of them are the most miserable, obnoxious people that just do this to, you know, pay the bills. They're not doing this because they love Disneyland. They're doing this to pay the bills, and you feel it, you know? So things really have changed. And then you come across veterans who are normally on the older end, like 55 and above, and they're the classic Disney cast members. Super kind, super on it, super educated. In fact, when I bought my Kylo helmet, like, I had a 10-minute conversation with the, not 10-minute, 5-minute conversation with the cast member ringing me up. Because that's just how they used to be, you know, and now they're freaking don't care, and they want you to pay and screw off, you know, and that's the feeling you get at Disney sometimes now, is just pay and go away. You know, where Universal, it's very different. It feels much more genuine. And, you know, I can get a season pass with hardly any blockout dates for $209 for the entire year. And it's like, that's less than half of what I'd be paying for the lowest tier Disney pass, that's the California pass, that has everything blocked out except Tuesdays and Wednesdays of randomly scattered throughout random months. And it's like, Universal, they make a lot of money, and their parks are very crowded, and specifically during Halloween Horror Nights. So they're clearly profiting, which proves my point. And they're running a whole movie studio right behind the park as well. So it's like they have to keep that up and online. They have to keep the park up and online, right? It's like, so no, it's not bills. It's not any of that BS, you know? It's like, it's just simply caring about your customer. And Bob Iger is using us, and he's going to raise the prices till he can't anymore, until people will legitimately stop paying to go. And you know those Disney shills, they will freaking give their lives away to Disney. So you have no idea, like, who knows what amount it would take for them to stop, you know? I just have no idea. But they are all getting kind of upset by this latest increase, which is horrible. And I was actually thinking that the reason they stopped selling Magic Keys was because they're going to drop the price. No, they brought them up significantly, and it wasn't just a little bit. Like, they really brought them up, and they still very much limit their sales of what's it called? They really limit their sales of passes too, and it's like, why? They're like gatekeeping them from people. It's like, you already are technically gatekeeping people from the price, but then you won't let anyone interested in maybe buying one be interested anymore, because you just put them on sale and then they're gone. It's like, I don't know what you're doing. It just doesn't make sense. You know, and then I have people tell me, well, if you think about it, it's not that bad. $600, you know, for the standard pass, that's 6 visits. Not that bad. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But to pay that all at once, that's insane. That is crazy. Like $600. And if you finance that, that's even worse. Because it's not like, oh, I know I'm gonna go here, I'll pay $100. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna have to be paying this much a month now for this long, for this pass. It's like totally different for, you know, people who don't have a lot of money. You know, like me, I make $22 an hour, you know, and I work like once or twice a week. So I don't have unlimited money like these Disney shows do to like say, oh, it's not that bad. I'll pay 1,200 something for a pass. I can't do that. That's not even possible for me. It's like I could technically get one, but I'm not, because it's just stupid. And I know they're using me, so it's like, why would I support that? I know that they are trying to freaking finagle me, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna support that. To where Universal's being fair. They're adjusting for inflation, but they're being fair. It's like, same with Knott's Berry Farm, exact same thing. They're being fair, and they're charging you. I would not pay more than what I'm paying for Knott's ever. And they're being fair. They're like, we know we can't charge you Disneyland prices because we're Knott's. We know we can't charge you Universal prices because we're Knott's. But we'll charge you a fair price, and we'll keep it budget friendly. There you go. Knott's Berry Farm, dude. They've been reasonably priced since day one, and they're like, the Costco hot dog and how it's like always stayed $150. Like the Knott's annual pass has always stayed around like $100 to $130 since I've been a kid. Actually, that's not true. They were probably even cheaper then, but they've always been very, very cheap. Like exceptionally cheap for an annual pass. Like the whole year with discounts, it's a crazy deal. Like really, that's like one day at any other theme park, for the whole year. No, it's insane. But yeah, so my point with all of this theme park talk is like Disney's even starting to lose that. And it's like, what's left at this point? Like nothing. And I still, like I said, I still enjoy going to Disneyland. I still enjoy visiting every once in a while. But does it feel the same as it did when I was a kid? No. Do I feel like I'm being treated as a guest at these parks, as much as I was as a kid? No. Not even a kid. Like 2019. 2020. I still felt like I was being treated as a guest. When Rise opened, things were great. And they peaked at Rise, and now they're just falling off. Ever since Rise, things have been just horrible. Like Rise was the best ride they've ever done, and then after that, it's like, okay. Now we're just getting worse and worse. And there's less and less care put into attractions. Look at Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway. It's all projectors. No heart, no soul. Tiana's Bayou Adventure, very lazily done. The animatronics look old. They do not look good at all. Compared to Galaxy's Edge animatronics, which are like 5 years old, which look pretty much like a human. So, again, the difference in quality is insane from how they used to do it and how they do it now. It's like they just took a back seat after Rise of the Resistance. They're like, all right, we're done. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is getting to a point where there's going to be a serious change because they're losing everywhere. They're just losing and losing. And the whole reason why they still even have Star Wars right now is because all the merchandise sales. That's really why. And the royalties they get off from other sellers selling Star Wars stuff. Like, that's what makes them the most money. Not the movies, not the shows. In George's time, it was really, for the original trilogy, at least only the movies, so then the merchandise rolled in later and made him a bunch of money too. But the movies were what were making him the main amount of money, main source of his income. Which, did he pocket it and do nothing with it like Disney? No, he put all of that money into the next movie. Because that's what a genuine human being who wants to get their story across would do in order to keep their fans happy and to tell their story, So, yeah, that's all I have for you. And George is Disney's biggest stockholder, so, maybe he's plotting. Maybe he's plotting something. Probably not, but maybe. There's always a slim chance. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, share. I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you always.